So I think most of you are aware about the Git. Okay, Git is a version control system. Version control system means there will be a repository, mostly a remote repository, a place where most of the files or code will be stored. Okay, and the version control system is called as version means it has the word version because various version of a file or a code is maintained properly in a centralized repository. That's why it's called as version control system, and it keeps track of whatever changes were done to a particular file or a code over a period of time. Okay, that's why it's called as version control system. There are two types of version control system as you can see on the screen. One is the centralized control system, and the other one is the distributed version control system. So this one, the Git is the distributed version control system, and the Subversion and the CVS, they are centralized version control system. So what is the exact difference between both? So for centralized version control system, uh, the connection to the centralized repository is continuously required, whereas in a distributed one, the connection to the repository, or you can say it is available, or it is not necessary that the distributed version control system is always available over the internet. So why? Because the distributed version control system will always maintain a local copy of the remote repository on our system, that is in a distributed manner. Means every developer, or there are multiple developers in the team, they will always have a copy of a remote repository on their local system. So what happens is, in both the cases, we'll be creating a local copy on the system, that is called as working copy. But in this case, if there is no connection to the centralized repository, it won't get the uh, details properly. Okay, whereas here, as there is a copy of the local remote repository on the local repository, it will always be in the sync, or we can work on the local repository and later on push it to the remote repository in a distributed version control system. It will get more clear when we do some exercises. And it was created by Linus Torvald in 2005. That's why it's very famous. And what is the main purpose of Git version control system? It helps us in managing the code efficiently. So let's again learn about why Git. Okay, it is version control system for tracking changes. It maintains the history. Okay, we can do the collaboration among the team efficiently. Okay, we can reproduce the issue. Means suppose it was working fine yesterday, but today it is not working fine, so we can check out the version. Check out means get the copy of the version which was working yesterday. Okay, so that reproducibility is possible. We can also treat it as a backup of a code. We can have a backup of a code rather than keeping it on our local system. Okay, it is also useful for auditing purposes, that who did what. Okay, what changes were made by any particular developer or a tester or a DevOps engineer, and we can also work concurrently among ourselves. Okay, and in short, it achieves the efficiency of the project. So how Git works means how it manages or keeps the track of the history. What it does is it creates a snapshot of the files, okay, and the changes. Snapshot means a copy at that particular time is maintained. Okay, the snapshots metadata is maintained. Okay, and it is the integrity of the data is maintained using SHA-1 hash algorithm. Okay, so due to the snapshot features, we can always have a track of what was changed when. Okay, and there is metadata of the snapshot is also maintained. Metadata is, I think you all know, data about the data, and the important thing is it ensures the data integrity using SSJ1 algorithm. So this is important. So when we have we'll be creating a Git repository. Okay, it will be remotely. So for in our example, it will be Git. So what we will do is we'll just copy that remote repository on our local server, and it will be called as a local repository. Okay, and we'll copy it on our some working directory. So whenever we make some changes, means when we do git add after making the changes, and when we do git commit, it will be stored on a virtual area called a staging area. Okay, and when we do push, then only those staging area changes will be pushed to the remote repository. Similarly, we can fetch the data and merge it on our local working directory, and we'll also do git clone and git checkout. So all these commands will be seeing. Okay, we always have a remote copy, we clone it, or we check out, and then we add, commit and push. So all these terms we'll see in the practical. So some of the git commands which we will be using it: git initialize, okay, to initialize a git repository. Then we'll do a clone. Clone means we'll copy remote repository on our local system. Then git add. After copying the code, we'll make some changes in the code, and git with git add we'll store it in a staging area. Okay. Then when we do the git commit, it creates a snapshot of the changes and keeps it in a staging area. Then we'll learn about git pull. Git pull means it will means we have cloned the git repository, and after cloning, suppose there are multiple people working on a same code, then we can pull that code as well. And after making the changes, the final push also we can do using git push. So in any development environment, we do not work on a single branch. We'll be creating multiple branches. So the git branch command will help us in doing that. And suppose there are multiple branches, and if you want to merge them, then the git merge command will be using. So it's also important to learn about git best practices. So when we make some changes, okay, after making the changes, it is recommended that we commit often. Like whenever we write a long file, we always do control S, right? Similarly, we should do commit. Whenever we made small changes, just commit it. And while committing, we have to put some meaningful messages, so that in terms of audit or whenever something goes wrong, it we can remember why this commit was done. And as I said, in a development environment, we'll be having multiple branches. So one of the main branch will be there, which has the production ready code. Then we'll have a staging branch. Then we'll have a bug fix branch for various bugs raised. Then we'll have a feature branch if we have if the software has a new feature, if we add a new feature. So it's always recommended to work on branches rather than the main branch. Then multiple people will be working on that code. Okay. And your local copy will always be behind the latest code available on the remote repository. So suppose you want to work on that repository, always do pull so that you get the changes made by other people as well, and then you do the push. And it is always a good practice to get our code reviewed. So most of the times the code is not directly merged into the main branch. It gets reviewed and then only it is pushed in the main branch. So it improves the collaboration and improves the code quality as well. So most of the things which I have explained, I'll do it as a practical, then it will be more clear, and then I'll take the questions. So what you all do is go to github.com. So I already have an account. So I'll create an account in an incognito mode. Go to github.com and sign up, enter your email address and create your account. Okay. So the steps are given in this link. Okay, I'm just copying this link in the chat. So we have to start doing this first exercise. Create a GitHub repo. So sign up. So follow these steps. Okay. After creating a repository, okay, just let me know what is your profile. For example, this is my profile. When I create an account, if you go here on the right hand side, you can see your profile. So when you see this profile, this will be my username. So I want everyone's username here. So I'm putting it in the chat. Similarly, you give me your when it is done. I think some of you may be already having your repository, or you can create a new one.
Sorry, guys, just joined a bit late.
Okay. So we are starting working on Git. So go to github.com and create an account there. And after creating an account, you'll see your profile. I just need your profile. This is my profile. Similarly, I need yours. Just paste it in the chat. Okay, Million already has.
So Git and GitHub are different. We are using Git.
Yeah, we are using Git, and so GitHub is one of the providers which helps us in creating repositories. So that's what we are learning.
Okay. So what's the difference between Git and GitHub? I mean, does it have any? Uh, we are using Git in
Use
our.
you Yeah, so it is a centralized repository. The centralized repository is accessed using Git command.
No, no, yeah, but what I'm asking is that, I mean, what's the difference between Git and GitHub? We are using Git. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so in what ways GitHub is different from
Oh,
Git?
okay, so we work on Linux, okay, and there are various distributions available on the Linux like Ubuntu, Red Hat, right? Similarly, there are various providers which help us in storing the repository. The name is Git, but it is a hub where most of the repositories are stored. That's why it's called as GitHub.
Okay.
Okay, and we can also have a local GitHub repository on our VM as well with some tools available in the market. So GitLab we can download. GitLab is one of the service provider which we can download on our system, and we can also have our intranet Git lab repository.
Prayag, actually, what Madan was thinking, no, that
Mm-hmm.
we are working on Git, which is repository, and
Mm-hmm.
GitHub is also one repository. But actually, Git is the it's a command to interact with GitHub, right? So
Yes.
yeah, that's what Madan was asking.
Yeah, see, in Azure DevOps, like we have Azure DevOps repo, right, for
Yeah,
storing.
similarly, we have GitHub, GitLab. There are various service providers.
Okay.
Okay, and the GitHub is the command. I also explained it when you were not, you didn't join with the, I think, that we using Git command, we interact with the GitHub repositories, means Git repositories, you can say.
So I'm registering again. What are the
Mhm.
features we have to select here? Like you have this,
Default ones.
huh?
Default, all default
Default,
options.
nothing is selected.
Is it share your screen?
Okay, 1 second.
Like team size should be 2 to 5 or just give me what we have.
You can choose anything.
We can change it later on, right?
Yes.
And features must be select everything or
Share your screen.
Yeah, sorry, I just shared my screen.
Okay,
Can you
fine.
see now?
yeah, same question I have.
Yeah.
What features required?
Yeah,
That
you
is
can select anything. That is not important.
that.
Just continue.
Okay.
We are going to use this or no?
So everything will be used. Okay, whatever if we require, we can enable it later on.
We can enable later also. I can see it now also. It doesn't.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a free. Uh, Continue for free. Okay, so there's no point. Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah.
So my new account is this one.
Yeah, that's fine. So creating account is very easy. So once you create the account, we'll continue with the exercise now. Till then, you can also create account. Okay, so when you log in, and if you are not on the same page where I am now, just click on this GitHub icon. Then there are two ways or multiple ways to create a repository, okay, where we'll be storing the code. Okay, so one of the method is click on this new, and other one
Are you
will be
sharing
click on.
screen? I think your
Okay,
screen.
okay, just a minute, I'll share the screen again.
So where we have to click?
Click on this GitHub icon,
Okay.
then you'll see the screen like this. Okay, so everything is given in the document. Okay, just let me
Okay.
explain the exercise, then you can ask the questions.
Okay.
So when we click on the GitHub icon, we can see there is a repository. We can create a repository using either clicking on this new or clicking on this plus icon. I'll just click on this new, and I'm creating a new repository, HTML app1. But it is saying it already exists. This will not be the case for you, but we'll see how to delete the repository as well. Again, I'll click on this GitHub icon, and if I search it here, I already have HTML app1 repository. I'll just go to settings, and at the bottom I'll see an option to delete this repository. So this is how we delete any repository. Okay, now again I'll go click on the GitHub icon and create a new repository, HTML app1. I'll give any description that it is my HTML app. We'll be creating a public repository. We can also create a private repository, but private will be seen later. Public means it is available to everyone, and private means they'll need an access. Then only they can. They'll need some privileges. Then only they'll be able to access it. And we'll initialize this repository with add a README file, and we can define which files to ignore. Okay, like there are some .exes or some important commands or dot something that we don't want the GitHub to track. Okay, so we can add that git ignore as well, and some licensing also we can add. But for this exercise we are not choosing both the options. The only thing we are doing is give a HTML app a name, description, create a public repository, and add a README file, and click on create repository. Okay. And our repository will be created. Now we have created a repository, and it has created a README file with some content. So content is nothing but our description. Now we have to copy this means this repository. This is a remote repository, the original one. Now we have to copy it on our system. So just click on this code. Okay, and there are three options. One is HTTPS, other one is SSH, and the third one is GitHub CLI. We'll be using HTTPS, and just copy this URL. This URL is also available here. Okay, but better to copy it from here. Just copy it and open your system. And it is a better practice to always write it in a file directory. So I'll create a directory called GitHub, and inside GitHub I'll do git clone. Okay. Clone means I'm just making a copy of that remote repository locally. Now if I do ls, I have a HTML app1 repository downloaded on my local system. Now how it is different from a normal work directory. If I go to HTML app1 and if I do ls-al, al means we can see the hidden files as well. So there will be a .git directory. So this .git directory makes it a repository. Otherwise, if we already have a HTML app folder without .git, it will not be called as a repository. It's repository because it has .git. When we clone it, it creates a hidden directory, which makes it a proper Git repository. Now what we'll do is we'll just create a file, cat index.html. This is my HTML app, and just save it. So we have an index.html file, and if we see on the screen, if I just refresh this page, it's still not here. Okay, our aim is that whatever we have locally, it should also be in sync with the remote one. But we have just created the file locally, it is yet not pushed to it. So before pushing it, we'll have to run some commands. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll just do git add. When we do git add, it is added to that virtual staging area. Now the next command which we have to use is git commit -m update code. So for the first time when we do this, we'll be asked to enter some details. This is to be done only once for a new system. So this is a new VM. So I'll have to add my email address. You can add any email addresses. So I will add my email address here. Similarly, I'll add my name. Okay. Now I'll do is I'll again git add it to a staging area. Now I'm just doing git commit. Okay, and just do git status. So what it is saying in, we are on a main branch, and it is ahead of origin main by one commit. Okay, so just now we did a commit, and why it is saying it is ahead of origin main? So this is our original remote repository. Again, if I do refresh, it is not having the index.html file which we just committed. This commit is available in other staging area which we cannot see. It is a virtual one. So it is ahead by one commit. We can also use the command git log to see what has happened till now. So there was an initial commit when the readme file was created, and just now we updated the code with git commit. Now to push, we'll just use git push. So now we are pushing this index.html to the remote repository. Okay, and now it will ask us for the credentials. So here we'll use our username. Okay, so you all pasted the username in the chat, but here we cannot use the GitHub password. Earlier it used to work, but now it doesn't work. For that, we'll have to create a public access, one access token. For creating the access token, go to settings. Okay, the repository settings. Don't go to this profile settings, and just go to settings. Oh, sorry, we have to go here only. Go to your profile settings. In profile settings, go to developer settings. Okay, in developer settings, you will be having personal access token. Click on tokens, the classic one. This beta version we are not using. Just click on token. Okay, and just create on generate new token. Everything is given in the wiki link. Just click on generate new token. Give any name. My GitHub token. Just expiration you can set to no expiration, or it's up to you, 90 days or 30 days, which you want to. And select scope means we are giving some permission to this token, what it can do. I'm selecting everything as it is our own repository. We want full access on it. So we are creating a token. I'm selecting everything and just click on generate a new token. Okay, a token will be displayed on the screen. This is the token. Just copy it and save it on your laptop. We will also require it next time in some other exercises. So just save it as a token. I'm saving it as GitHub token. And you can also email it to yourself so that if required, you can access it anytime. So I have many tokens. So what I'll do is I'll delete my old ones. Okay, so I have two tokens. One is the earlier one, and this is the new token. I've copied it, and you can also email it to yourself. Most of the times that is the best place to access it from any system. So the copied token, personal access token, I'll just paste it here as a password. Okay, remember. Now if I do git log, okay, updated the code, commit, and if I do git status, it is saying your branch is up to date with origin main. Origin main means the remote and the local repositories both are in sync now. If I just refresh the repository now, go to GitHub icon, then select your HTML app, and just refresh the page, and you can see I also have the index.html here. which has some contents. This is my HTML app. So we are using some command line utilities, using git command. We are just working on it, but there are some GUI tools also available to do this. But in DevOps world, it is recommended to do everything from this command line, because we'll be creating some pipelines in the future. There, these commands are very useful, and most of the people also prefer visual code. Okay, so they do coding on visual code, and they connect visual code to the git. So there also will get a terminal to work on it. And one of the other method is you can download git bash for Windows. Okay, so when you download the git bash, you'll also get a terminal for Windows. Here we are logging on our VM, and then we access the shell, and using shell we interact with the git. But there is also a command called a utility called git bash. So this is the git bash. Okay, so you can run some commands on it, mostly used for git. So here also you can do git clone. It will be stored on your Windows system, Windows directory. So if I do pwd here, I'm in C users Prayak directory. Here if I clone it, it will be available. And Visual Studio Code, we can use that for creating the code and all. So that's it for today.